Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Eichenhart?
Here.
Mrs. Herzog? Here. Mr. Hanschel?
Here.
Mrs. Hume?
Here.
Mr. Reitmauer?
Here.
Mr.
Moving on to recognitions. Mr. Bodigo, I will turn it over to you.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. It's great to see a packed house here this evening. We have a lot of recognitions to be able to perform as a school board, and a school district. It is a wonderful opportunity during school board meetings to highlight special things that are happening. And tonight we have a bunch of different special things. So the first thing I'd like to do is turn it over to our business manager, Mrs. Detweiler. We're going to recognize our food service staff.
Good evening. We'd like to take a moment to recognize our food service staff from the intermediate middle school. If you guys could all rise.
We should have them come
Yeah,
up.
come on. Our staff, along with Paige, who oversees food service in the business office. And this is for their outstanding work during a recent on-site audit of our National School Lunch Program. So the on-site audit is essentially a pop quiz for the team. The auditors review everything from the required signage and health and safety documentation to ensuring that what's being served matches exactly what's on the menu. They also observe meal service closely, making sure every student tray meets all state requirements for a reimbursable meal. This is a detailed and often stressful process, but I'm proud to share that our team handled it with professionalism and excellence from start to finish with no errors found. The reviewer specifically noted appreciation for how well prepared and organized everything was and asked that we again thank our staff for their hard work and dedication. So tonight, we'd like to extend our thanks and asks, and you guys are already up here. So we truly appreciate the care, consistency, and commitment you bring each day in serving our students. So thank you.
So as they transition out, the next item is a recognition from the school on behalf of the school district. As you probably are aware, we've started doing a new newsletter. We also have been putting together something called Bullet Points, which is a highlight of the district. And those publications are electronic as well as in paper form. We do the bullet newsletter on a quarterly basis. PennSPRA, which is the Pennsylvania School Public Relations Association. It's an organization that focuses on human relations, on marketing. We were recognized as an honorable mention winner for our newsletter, and we were awarded an award of merit winners for our district profile document. So great recognition on the marketing and the things that we're doing as a school district, to be recognized at the state level when there are only 3, 4, a couple school districts per category is a pretty neat opportunity. And so something I wanted to recognize and share on behalf of the school district to the community, but also the school board, the good things that are happening there. The next thing I'd like to do is call up Tyler Wiki. Tyler, if you don't mind. I'm going to give you a chance to talk here a little bit and kind of explain this, but this is what was shared with us. The board recognizes and congratulates Tyler Wiki for his first place award at the HOSA Future Health Professional State Leadership Conference in Hershey, competing in CPR and First Aid Division. He now has the opportunity to compete in the International Leadership Conference in Indianapolis. So let me start off by asking, how many kids were there?
Is this on?
Yeah, it is.
All right. So there was just in general, there was probably about 3,000 kids there. In my first aid and CPR, I think there was 96 teams of 2. So me and my partner won first place and all that, which we were very surprised about.
That's awesome. Huge congratulations. What did you have to do to go through this process? Like, walk us through. We have no idea what you did when you were there.
So when we first got there, we waited about an hour, and then we went into our written test, which was just a big room. There was a timer on the board. We had an hour to complete 50 question, just written test, multiple choice. So then we got done with that, and then based off of the first 46 teams, I believe, got to go into the second testing, which was the skills test. So we got like 12th in that, and then we went to our skills test, and that was just 2 of the CPR dummies laying on the floor. We got a little clipboard with a paper on it that said the scenario. My partner went and did CPR right away. I had to help a fake alive person with I had to figure out, I had 8 things that it could have been, 8 I guess it was possibilities of illnesses or injuries that I could help treat. And then I had to kind of figure out which one it was. And then after I was done with that, I went over and helped my partner to do CPR. And then after all that, we said thank you to the judges, and then we left and just kind of hung out at HOSA. There was a lot of opportunities to meet like colleges and stuff, a lot of cool technology that they'd bring in to show what they had and could help with, and it was a really cool experience. A lot of long meetings though, wasn't it?
Yeah, we know that. So after you did all that, when did you find out that you got first place?
So we had again another long meeting, and it went through all the first like the solo contests, which took like maybe an hour or 2, and then it went through all the double, like the partners, and that took a while. But it would say on a big screen what it was. So it said CPR and first aid. It said the 3 teams that were in the top 3. I was surprised me and my partner's name were even up there. And then we had to walk up, and based off of who they called up would be 3rd, 2nd, and then 1st. And they said our name last, and I was like completely amazed. But it was nice. I don't remember walking up there or standing on the podium, but there's a picture that said I did it. So.
Good. So next steps is it looks like you have the chance to compete in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be doing that?
I hope so. There's a lot of hurdles we have to get past because BCTC wants to know where we are, but it's hard because we have to drive there. So that is definitely a problem we're gonna have to solve. But they are very, very much trying to get us to go, and I'm pretty excited for it. The dates on there are just the dates of the testing.
Oh, did you say they're going to make you drive?
Yeah, so we had the choice to fly,
Okay.
but because of my partner, her family is against, I guess, the real ID and the passport. It's hard to get the passport in the time that we had to get it. So they said we were going to drive. And it turned out because of TSA, it would have been just about the same amount of time anyway. So we figured driving would have been a little better. We can stop on places along the way, and if there's like a cool restaurant or something, get food there. The good stuff.
Tyler, spoiler alert, if you go to National, there's still long meetings.
I'm well aware.
Just
I'm
bigger
gonna
long meetings.
get a seat cushion and one of those neck pillows.
So what's your next step? Once you're a senior this year, what are you doing?
So right now I am an EMS VO driver for my dad. That's something. I mean, that's cool. I'm in BCTC now to get my EMT. So hopefully by the end of the school year, I will graduate and get my EMT, and I can go right into the workforce. And then depending on there, I'm not sure where I'm going to go. If I enjoy the the EMS or the medical field. I might try to stay in that and do paramedic. If I end up not liking that, I can kind of pivot off of that, and worst comes to worst, I have something to fall back on. But yeah, it's kind of my mindset of it. Yeah.
Huge congratulations. Tyler's joined this evening by his mom, his dad, his younger brother, his older sister, and also his girlfriend. So huge congratulations to you, Tyler. Can we give him a round of applause? We wish you the best of luck when you go to Indianapolis. You've done the district your parents proud. Obviously, you've got a little bit of insider from your dad. His dad is a veteran that also works for the local EMS here. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
We're gonna get you outside with a picture, okay? All right. Next up this evening, so many positive things this evening. We have the opportunity to recognize the Friends of Brandywine organization. If anyone knows the Friends of Brandywine organization, they have been a true supporter and advocate on behalf of the school district, on behalf of specifically students and families that are struggling within the school district. So Friends of Brandywine most recently put on multi concerts to raise funds. Through those practices, they were able to raise $50,000. That is a huge contribution back to the school district. Just to talk about some of the things they've done. They sponsor holiday meals, 50 holiday meals per holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. So 150 meals for families with gift cards for them to go shopping afterwards, full meals, everything that you could possibly need, they provide to those 50 families at each holiday. The summer feed program. Last year we've been doing a summer feed program for several years. Last year was the first year where Friends of Brandywine came in, fully funded it, no connection to income. Anyone can come to it, but it's particularly driven at the idea of we need to ensure our students have food over the summer. That is a long gap of time from June until August. They have single-handedly come in, funded that, so every student has the opportunity to have 5 breakfasts and 5 lunch every single day during the summer. Huge feat. Dual enrollment. This was a initiative I came to them in the spring. This is now connected to also a partnership with the Education Foundation, but they came in and fully sponsored dual enrollment scholarships. So dual enrollment is when you take a class here that is a high-level class that is also connected to Reading Area Community College. You can get 3 credits of college credits so that you can take that on to wherever you're going for post-secondary. There's several students that were on that list that were taking classes at our high school that were low income. I came to Friends of Brandywine and said, here's a list of students, here's the potential. We came up with a criteria, students applied. Any student that applied was fully funded by Friends of Brandywine, so they could take that class, get the college credit, and carry it on so they can better themselves once they graduate here. Awesome initiative. And then finally, they have done a lot to just help students in need. One-offs where there's some kind of family emergency, some kind of student emergency, where they have just been a phenomenal resource. I've been saying several times here, an organization that truly makes an impact. This organization has come in, single-handedly transformed the lives of so many kids in this school district and has transformed the partnership that we have as a school district. I can't really think of a more profound way of making an impact to kids and to the local community here. So on behalf of the school district, Friends of Brandywine, if you guys want to come up, huge, if we can give them a round of applause. So I'll turn it over to you guys. What would you like to share? That's my thanks.
Well, most importantly, we like to share this check for $50,000 to the district to continue the summer feed program, dual enrollment, and any ongoing initiatives that will help those families in need. We want to thank the partnership with the district and helping us facilitate giving those, and most importantly, we want to thank the community who has supported us, come out and bought tickets to see us act really dumb. And it's amazing how the community, you know, we always say we're small but mighty, but it's the same with the community. It's a small community, but we have an outpouring of folks that have just really supported this mission and have done great things. So anyone else want to?
I have stage fright.
Stage fright, yeah.
I understand that. I understand that. So with that, we'd like to give you this check.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's go get a picture outside.
Okay.
For the step and repeat. If we can give them a huge round of applause.
All right, while they're snapping a photo, just the next recognition is a thank you to the United Way of Berks County. We were awarded a $5,000 summer learning grant for the school district. This will go to help offset the costs of Camp Spark. As we recall, I believe it was last school board meeting, our Brandywine Heights Education Foundation said they would fund the vast majority of the camp. They would continue their financial support of this program, and the United Way grant that we have been applying for and successfully been awarded, I want to say 8 of the last 9 years. We were fortunate enough to earn that grant this year, and that $5,000 will also help to go offset the costs associated with Camp Spark. So a thank you to the United Way on that. They're taking a little bit longer for that picture than anticipated, but we'll clap for that one.
Steph had a lot to work with. So.
Yeah. And I will say that the next recognition is something as a project and program that Mr. Pottinger has worked on to gain support for the students in the school district with our rifle team. So I will allow him the opportunity to talk through that. I'm slowly biding time to allow you to get back to here. There you go.
Yeah, so we started the rifle team in 2022. That program started with some interest surveys to see how many students were interested in this. The idea was to create an opportunity to give students that maybe aren't involved in something else an opportunity to be part of a team. This has grown phenomenally. We have 24 students now involved in the rifle team. We only have 6 rifles for the 24 students. They shoot independently. Obviously, it takes a lot of time to rotate the students through to be able to do that, to get proficiency. Their goal was to get close to essentially 100% for all the students shooting. It's done by points, but you get the idea. They won several competitions last year. I think they were like 2 points or 2 shots away from getting that perfect score for every shooter. So we have some great shooters. We did an NRA grant, and they were willing to donate another rifle. That's the rifle that's on the agenda. It's valued. These rifles are not cheap at $3,000, over $3,000 a piece. So it's a great opportunity to continue to grow the program. This is in partnership and support with the Topton Fish and Game down the road here. They allow us a part of their range specifically just for our students to shoot at. So it's a great partnership there. We're so thankful for that space because I'm not sure where our students would be practicing. Maybe they shoot so good because they only can shoot outside. So laying in the snow and shooting in the middle of the winter too. They have an edge, I guess. But a huge accomplishment for the rifle team, and this donation goes a long way as well. So transitioning here, the next part of the meeting, we like to recognize our New Heights Award winners. New Heights Award winners are individuals that go above and beyond. It's essentially like the Employee of the Month program, but we call it New Heights Award. So we have 2 recipients this evening. The first one is Mrs. Acosta. So if we can have Marcy come up here and join us. So if anyone knows Mrs. Acosta, she's up here. Mrs. Acosta has been a longtime teacher with us, started as a 2nd grade, 4th grade, but most recently and most impactfully has been leading our Bullitt Academy. So let me read why she was recognized. You've been a great teacher to me and my friends. I like how you come into your room and play with other children. You build relationships with kids in our schools and kids that aren't in our school yet. My favorite thing about you is that you are so nice and sweet. You're the best teacher I've known. Obviously, students provided these. I love that you're so kind to me and Harper and Finley. You taught me how to be responsible and kind to others. I like helping you with your Bullet Academy program. You're the best ever. I love how much I made a new friend in Mrs. Acosta's classroom during a play and learn. He's so cute. I love how she lets us join and help kids in our program. I will miss you next year because I'll be going to 4th grade. Thank you for including me.
So I actually typed those up for the girls that were in my office and just singing Mrs. Acosta's praises. They genuinely, and not just the 3 girls that did the nominations, she includes 2nd graders and 3rd graders in our Bullet Academy programs to help set up. They want to skip it out on even beautiful days of recess outside to come inside to participate in the play and learn. One of the students in particular just created such a very special bond with one of the students that goes to the program that Mrs. Acosta and I have been working on having a buddy program, like an intentional buddy program for the amount of students that enjoy that. So that's not anything that I have written, but that's just kind of where it came off of. Like I said, we have a program here that you can nominate Mrs. Acosta for an award for all of these nice things that you're saying. Are you okay if I write down some of the things? So got the general gist of what they were saying, but she is very truly deserving of this award. As our Bullet Academy coordinator, she goes above and beyond in welcoming new families to the district and serves as an invaluable resource across the county as the only Birth to 5 coordinator. Her passion for early childhood education is evident in the meaningful and engaging programs she creates for our youngest learners, as well as the strong connections she builds with students of school age. This is especially clear through the messages that our students our 3rd grade helpers had wrote for her tonight, and recognizing her positive and inspiring influence. With her fun personality and wonderful sense of humor, Mrs. Acosta plays a key role in keeping morale high among staff and students in our building. She is deeply appreciated and makes a lasting impact on our entire school community. So thank you for all you do. And I will say too, one of the other cool things, I think when the program first launched, she was able to watch one of the students take their first steps in the gym. We got a second kiddo that took the first steps. Was it last week?
Yeah,
last
week at the open gym, and I felt guilty because the father wasn't there. I was like, oh, I feel bad that I got to witness this and Dad didn't. So
just a cool part of the program to be part of those very special moments.
That's so
you.
awesome.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Mrs. Kate Deffenbaugh. Do you mind coming up here? Joined by her family. That's awesome. Oh, absolutely. So this is why, so Mrs. Deffenbaugh is one of our English teachers here in the middle school. So let me read why Mrs. Deffenbaugh was recognized. Mrs. Deffenbaugh helped us create Read Across America Week by coming to our elementary school and doing a presentation about the process of her writing her children's book, Sadie Travels East. She took the time to prepare a thoughtful presentation, delivered to 3 separate times to different grade levels groups, and prepared for a substitute for her regular classes. It's wonderful for students to hear about how much one of our teachers at Brandywine was a published author, and that they could all be authors too. We're very grateful for her willingness to share her time and expertise with our students. Mrs. Snyder?
While I haven't been principal very long, it is very obvious that Mrs. Deffenbaugh demonstrates an unwavering commitment to her students and high quality instruction, creating an environment where students are challenged, supported, and inspired to grow as readers, writers, and critical thinkers. I always see students outside of your room chatting with you between classes, so I know how connected they are with you. During Read Across America Week, Mrs. Deffenbaugh extended the impact beyond the classroom here by sharing her personal journey as an author with her elementary students. And I think this is an incredible experience because she helped our younger learners see themselves hopefully as writers, creators, and storytellers. I think what makes it so meaningful is the connections you've made with students who will hopefully one day be your students here in our building, and modeling creativity, perseverance, and passion for our younger learners in our district. She reminds us that literacy is not something we teach, it is something we live and we celebrate. So as a former reading specialist, still a reading specialist, huge impact. Thank you for taking the time to do that, Mrs. Defabal. We're really incredibly fortunate to have you as part of our staff.
So we have it. Can we give this to Mom? Thank you for bringing her. That's awesome. I can't believe how big she got. All right. Mr. Wagner, I will turn it back over to you for student reports.
Okay, I have all of the ones, so except the middle school one.
Go for it.
In the elementary school on March 20th, they hosted Teddy Bear Day, where upcoming kindergartners got to see kindergarten classrooms, listen to a story, complete a craft, and finally they got Teddy Grahams and milk in the cafeteria when they were finished. On March 24th, the annual Night of Music event was hosted at the high school, where K through 3 got to perform for everyone in the audience. The third graders will start their PSSAs on April 21st this year. And lastly, there are currently 58 students fully registered for kindergarten next school year. In the high school, Clothing Circle provided free clothing and toys for the community this past weekend. Tomorrow, on April 14th, 8th graders are coming up to visit the high school for a tour and activity fair to help them transition to high school easier by checking out new clubs. On May 1st, the band and choir will be having their senior citizen concert along with their annual spring concert the following week on May 5th. This year's prom will be held on May 8th. And finally, as the school year is being wrapped up, seniors are making and sharing their decisions for their next steps after graduation. In sports, this week in the high school, the track team has an away meet and the boys tennis team has an away match on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the boys tennis and baseball teams have away games. On Thursday, the track team has a home meet and boys tennis has an away match. And finally, on Friday, the boys baseball team has an away game.
In the middle school, some past events were spring sports started, baseball, softball, and track and field. In student council, the spring dance was in March, and we had the temporary Tattoo the Teacher, which raised $100 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which is being tripled by the organization. In future events, we have some sports will continue with their games and practices. In student council, the April service project is being determined, and we have a few events in May. And then in music, we have a few concerts scheduled for May, and we have the Hershey trip coming up. And that's it.
So I'm going to take a moment. These two ladies have been here pretty consistently throughout the whole course of the year. This is actually going to be the last time we have student board reps, because next meeting we're going to be, the May meeting will be down at BCTC, and so we won't have our student board reps. And then the June one will be out of school by that point. So your duties are officially done as of today, but thank you. You guys did a phenomenal job. I love to hear you grow as young ladies. You have done a phenomenal job being prepared, but also I'm very impressed with how well spoken you are. So to both of you, congratulations. I have little certificates for you.
All right, now.
The audit report.
Tonight we have Hank from Gorman here to present our audit. So, hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I don't care what they say, you're awesome.
You as well, John. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hank Miller. I'm a partner at Gorman & Associates. Here to give you a brief presentation on the audit for the June 30, 2025 fiscal year. So I just want to start, let's make sure this works. Okay. Just want to start by saying, from a high level view, overall the audit went fairly smoothly considering the transition within the business office. Most of the audit work was completed, before that occurred, but obviously, with an audit, we do have to come back for a single audit later in the year. But overall, things went smoothly, and we didn't have any major findings noted in the audit report. I do want to say there's two deliverables basically that you should receive from us. One is there's a management letter or letter to governance that we call it. That's just our communication in regards to the audit. In there we would disclose if there were any issues or disagreements with management, if there were any findings that were noted in the audit, they would be communicated in that management letter. And that is separate from the audit report, which you should have already received at least an electronic copy of, and you have a physical copy there in front of you right now. So here, just pulling some excerpts from the audit report. The first section or the first report in the single audit report is the independent auditor's report. So in there, in the first paragraph of that report is where we give our opinion. So for those of you who may not be familiar with a financial audit, so we come in as an independent third party, perform certain procedures, perform risk assessments. Based on those risk assessments, develop audit procedures that could include performing various reperforming various reconciliations, looking at the underlying financial records. And we perform those audit procedures so that we can then have the confidence to give an opinion on the financial statements that are presented in the audit report. And the whole objective of an audit is that through the performance of those procedures, we're given our opinion, which you'll find in the independent auditor's report. So in there, we state, in our opinion, financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects for the Brandywine Heights Area School District as of June 30th, 2025. And there's different sections. We also talk about what are our responsibilities over the financial statements, which I've discussed a little bit. And then there's, in addition to the basic financial statements, there's a few other sections. You have the basic financial statements, you have the notes to the financial statements, then you have required supplementary information. The statements or the schedules in that section mostly pertain to your pension. And then there's supplementary information. These are additional schedules that we provide that they're not required, but we feel that it is useful information. So since it's in the audit report, again, we have to give an opinion on those financial statements. So next, this is just a summarized version of one of the financial statements. It's the last financial statement in the basic financial statement section. So this is your budget versus actual. Again, it's a summarized version. So total revenues for 24-25 fiscal year, you had budgeted $35.7 million. Your actual revenues came in at $37.295 million. And then the last column there is just showing you the variance. So you came in with a surplus of nearly $1.6 million in revenues for the year. You had budgeted expenditures of $36.2 million. Actual expenditures came in at just over $36 million. So you have a variance there of $120,000. So that was pretty close. Then you have other financing sources. And then if you're looking at the middle column there, down towards the bottom, you have your net change in fund balance. This is your profit or loss. So you had a surplus of $1.2 million. You started the 24-25 fiscal year with a fund balance of $12,427,000, and you ended the year in the general fund with a fund balance of $13,669,000. And this is just a breakdown of the different categories of that fund balance. So fund balance can come in various forms. You have non-spendable fund balance, so that would be prepaid expenditures, inventory. You have restricted fund balance, so this is fund balance that's restricted by legal statutes, contractual restrictions, anything that's restricting your ability to use that money. It's coming from an outside third party. And then you have committed fund balance, so that's fund balance that you, the board, have committed for various uses. And then you have assigned fund balance. Assigned fund balance is just sort of a step below committed fund balance. You guys should have, obviously, you should be familiar with these numbers. You do approve them once the audit is complete and the management receives our adjustments after posting our audit adjustments and receiving the financial workbook from us, and they would bring this to you to finalize the fund balance for that fiscal year. So in total, you had in the general fund for the 24-25 fiscal year, you had you finished the year with an unassigned fund balance of $2.9 million. This is a trend analysis for the food service funds. You won't see this in the audit report, so we just kind of put this together just sort of as an extra for you guys. So you can kind of see the trend in the food service fund over the last 5 years. We're sort of working our way away from COVID and some of the implications that had on the food service fund. But what we do here, at least for the June 30, 2025 year, you can tie those numbers to the food service fund financial statements. Again, it's just a summarized version. What I'm doing here is the top section is pulled from the financial statements. And then what I'm doing in the bottom section here is just adding back certain non-cash adjustments. So basically, in the food service fund, you have long-term liabilities. You have a pension liability, you have OPEB liabilities. The pension liability especially can be subject to large swings from year to year. These are just accounting adjustments. So we like to back those types of adjustments out so you can get a smoother bottom line, something that's a little bit easier to compare year to year. So when you include pension adjustments, you lose some of that comparability. So you can see for the June 30, 2025 year in the food service fund, you finish the year with a surplus of $105,000. And then at the very bottom there, you can kind of see after those certain adjustments, the trend over time. So these are just some additional excerpts from the single audit report. These come from the last section, the single audit section of the report. So in there, we talk about a report on internal control over financial reporting, report on compliance and other matters. Compliance is referring to your federal awards. And then in there, we also give our opinion on each major federal award. So a single audit is a federal compliance audit. So in there, you'll see there's a schedule of your expenditures of federal awards. Each year, if you expend over a certain amount, you're subject to a single audit. For the upcoming year, that threshold is going up to $1 million. So we did perform a single audit. In there, we're required to assess the school district, whether you're high risk or low risk. You were low risk. What that means is that we don't have to test as much of your federal programs as a percentage of your total federal programs. So high risk, we have to test up at least 40%. Low risk, we only have to test 20%. So for the 24-25 year, we looked at the Special Education Cluster or IDA program, which made up just over 24% of your total federal expenditures. And there were no findings from the single audit. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? Sure.
In 1.5 million or almost 4.5% more than anticipated. But we only put 1.2 million into,
Sure.
reserve or whatever. So that $300,000 delta, does that suggest that we overspent? Or like, why didn't, if we got revenue of 1.5 million more than we anticipated,
Right.
where did that 1.5 million?
Well, that's gonna, so you're just talking, the revenue is one piece. Obviously, you have expenditures as well. So yes, if you received additional revenues of 1.5 and your surplus is at 1.2, then your expenditures would have been overspent as well. So, but give me 1 second here. I can pull up the report.
And a couple places in the report, it talks about the excess revenue. I'm looking at page 14, and it says the revenue variance resulted from higher than budgeted local and state tax. Okay, great. But can you break that down a little bit more granularly and help us understand where that came from? And then how does that, I'm sure that you audit other school districts in
Right.
general region or geography. Is that a trend that you saw consistently, that revenues came in higher than school districts budgeted, or is that unusual? I think it's unusual for us. So what was driving that, and then what's your sort of opinion on it?
So I'll just take a step back and say, my responsibility here is just to give an opinion on the financial statements. Not so much to give an opinion, like I'll get these types of questions sometimes about like, oh, do we have a good fund balance, or like, are we healthy? That's not really my responsibility or objective here. Like, obviously, like personally, like on the side, we could talk about, have those types of conversations. But as far as like, if you want to look at it in more detail, let me see if I can find it real quick. So in the supplemental section, there is a report that gives you the general fund. It gives you like by function, every revenue and expenditure by line item. So it's not summarized at the level that, so the main financial statement that we were talking about is on page 30, statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. So it shows you like 3 categories of revenues, but there's a bunch of revenues that obviously make up those balances. Same thing with your expenditures. So that is broken down in more detail in the supplemental section. So let me see if I can grab it here. So starting on page 84 of the audit report, you'll see general fund, statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, budget versus actual. It's the exact same report. This will give you that granular level detail that you're asking about, and it gives you budget versus actual and variance for each specific function. So you can see, okay, was it current real estate taxes? Was it EIT? Was it subsidies? And you can see that line by line. And what I would say just generally about taxes, we're looking at the overall numbers at a little bit higher view. Those types of questions would be best for your management team. They're going to understand what's driving some of those numbers a little bit better and give a clearer explanation. Generally, with taxes, you're either looking at an increase in your tax base. So are you having a lot of development and construction? Or it could be from year to year. I know after COVID, a lot of schools were seeing better collection rates on their real estate taxes. Because what we're recording in the general funds, or what you guys are recording in the general fund, is what your actual collections are. So if historically you only collect, say, 92% of your total real estate tax base, but in, you know, a given year, maybe that goes up. So maybe you had much better collection efforts, you collected 95%, right? That could drive those revenues. Sometimes that might be temporarily, or that might fluctuate with the economy, you know, as economies go up and down.
Yeah, page 84 was what I was looking for, so.
Okay.
I mean, just a quick glance of that, half of that 1.5 million in unanticipated revenue was interest income. We budgeted interest income at 350,000. We
Right.
received 800,000.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. And then, so locally, that's a piece of where it's coming from, and then statewide, it provides the granularity. This is the page I was looking for. Yeah, thank you. The real estate transfer tax, we've been saying, is totally outside of our control, but the properties are moving in the community, so we have budgeted 195 for that, we got more than 250, right, in revenue for that, so.
I believe this is this for adjusting for the budget for next year.
I mean, lesson learned, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough at this point because I know, like, usually when I'm giving these presentations, I'm almost 2 years behind you guys. Because you're in the 25-26 year, but you're obviously budgeting for even next year. But
So the contribution, so, you know, tonight we received, from Friends of Brandywine, fabulous, 50K, we've gotten great donations from, the Education Foundation and stuff. The line item there on page 84 for contributions. So we budgeted 25,000, this particular year we received 56,000, like, Mrs. Deborah, does that money from the foundation, from Friends of Brandywine and like organizations flow through that line item, or does it offset expense? Like, do we record it as revenue?
It varies. The like the Friends of Brandywine for food service, that is in the food service line, so that will be reflected in these dollars.
Okay.
The St. Luke's, that is in these contributions. But as far as some of the other ones, I think they may be offsetting expenses.
Because, I mean, noticeably, I feel like we've done great with grants, writing and receiving and leveraging grants for the last couple of years. And like, the grant dollars aren't shown here because we've done way better than these numbers would indicate. So that grant money must be flowing into other buckets of the financials.
so if you have local grants, so there's local, state, and federal. That's how your revenue is broken out. So if you have state and federal grants that you're applying for and you receive, then they would be reported in the 7,000 or 8,000 function series. Any local grants or contributions, those generally would go to 6910. And what I'll say as far as your question about expenses is, for all of our clients, we generally, there's very limited exceptions where charitable contributions should be netted against expenses, or they should almost always be reported in the revenue category, especially in the 6920s. But there might be reasons why it's not recorded in the general fund, like if there's food service grants, or in other places. But other than a few exceptions, it should be reported as revenue.
I was gonna say, looking at the 69, that would probably be pretty accurate for the foundation and these. Thank you.
And there's, to the Friends of Brandywine, there's stuff that we pay directly, like through enrollment, we pay directly, so it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's not going to show up in here.
So it's on behalf of students, but not funneled to the district.
So RAC will bill us and then we pay that bill.
That's great.
Any other questions?
Thanks for coming, Mike. Hank. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
PowerPoint too, and kind of walking us through the different areas.
Yeah.
Very helpful. Now as we get to book, have all the details.
Yep. Now, I will say one thing. I always, typically every year, I usually meet at least with one board member. Typically that's John. But, if there are ever any members or if as a group, like if we're heading into an audit, if you have questions or concerns, obviously feel free to reach out to me. Always willing to answer any questions as far as, explain an audit. Or if you have concerns, like we're always looking to tailor our audit procedures if necessary, but, okay.
You said early on that there were no major concerns.
Right.
Were there minor concerns? And if there were, what page in the book or what section of the book would provide any of the feedback, even if it was minor?
So,
Process improvement or a budget transfer?
so when we go through an audit, right? So we'll come out in June for a day typically, perform various procedures. And then we'll come back after the books are finalized. So typically in July or August or September, I think for you guys. And we'll be out here for a couple of days, me and my staff. And then that's sort of like the full breadth of the audit. So if there's anything that comes up during that audit, like we'll be making journal entries. We'll be communicating with management if there's ever any questions. Like we have questions, then we go to them. If we find any issues, we'll communicate it with the business manager and the staff that we're working with. So it depends on the level of the issue. So if it's a serious issue where we say, okay, here, this issue is a control deficiency or it's a significant deficiency, then we'll communicate that in our letter to you, the management letter. So that's where you would find that. Other like, hey, you're not recording this to the right revenue function or, those types of adjustments, we'll just communicate that with management. So as the bigger the issue, the higher up in the chain of command we'll go to communicate that. So obviously if we detected fraud, we're going right to Dr. Pottinger, telling him about that, the business manager, like we're communicating that with the board. So, so it just depends on the level of the issue. Minor things or minor issues, like we're not going to formally communicate in a management letter. Those things are for generally recommendations. If we do have recommendations about improving audit procedure or financial procedures, we'll include recommendations, control deficiencies, significant deficiencies, and material weaknesses. Anything else might be verbally with management or even with the board member or other parts of the administration.
Appreciate that. So just to reiterate, those minor things that may have been identified, where would they be documented?
And so
No, the major things are documented in the management.
So
letter.
so that would be in either our work papers or just in our journal entries.
Okay.
So when we're
Why I'm pressing on this is because normal protocol would be you communicate with management. We had a huge gap.
Right.
In the management team for a
Right.
number of months. So
Right.
during your audit, who was your primary liaison? And who was receiving that information from you, even if it was.
So
as minimal as-
Nicole was still here when we finished the main part of our audit.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a transition. So there was a lot of communication that was being done with the staff that was here, until you guys got your interim business manager in. So then there was some communication with them. But to be honest, like we've been auditing you guys ever since I've been working at Gorman for a long time. So we have a pretty good feel for your operation and how you guys function. And Nicole had been here for a couple of years, so the main part of our audit had already been completed. It's just a matter of, on our end, we have to finish making certain journal entries and adjustments, start preparing the financial statements. Certainly there's loose ends that need to be tied up. But what I would say is I know you guys were going through that transition phase, but at least the audit portion, a majority of it had already been completed. So, and at the time she left, which I think was late August or early September, you know, most of anything that would need to be accrued back to the general fund, all of that stuff should have been or would have been pretty much done at that point. But so to answer your question, yes, we didn't have a business manager communicate. So it's either communicate with your superintendent or with other members of the business office, like whoever was taking charge at that time. Right, yeah. Yeah, a lot of communication. Yep. Primarily, yeah. Yep. But we'll all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any public comment? Hearing none. Moving on to board of directors report. Can I get a motion on the second? Motion right now.
Under Board of Director report this evening, we have several items. We had the meeting minutes from March 2nd. Any changes or corrections to those meeting minutes from last month? Andrew's doing a good job. Congratulations. They will become the official meeting minutes moving forward once approved this evening. We have second reading of policies. Those policies were presented last month. We also have, and no changes have been made. We also have item C, first reading policies. And I just want to go through a couple things here. We have a policy for dressing grooming. This is a policy we made a few small adjustments to. We added some language in there to address if there would ever be a concern of inappropriate tattoos or body art. So that's something that's becoming a little bit more prevalent. There was a situation the other day, and we didn't have a policy to back that up. So we wanted to address that, just to ensure that that there was some teeth behind that in our policy. So that is the language change that's in that policy. Under sabbatical leave 338, there are no changes. Under 338.1, we had some minor formatting changes that were in there. That's for a compensated leave, professional leave policy. So similar to sabbaticals for professional leave sabbatical. 339 uncompensated leave. There was some language I had to get adjusted here just to clarify that the board needs to approve any uncompensated days over 5 days. And so that language was added. And then 348, which is unlawful harassment, remains as a policy. But we pointed back to policy 104, and that is a discrimination harassment policy, and that becomes more of a unilateral policy that covers a bunch of things. There is no changes that need to be made to that policy. So those are the updates to policy. I wanted to make mention, and I forgot to do this right at the beginning. On Friday, Andrea had sent an email out, and it's forwarded from the BCIU. It's the 2026 election ballot. This email has a QR code in it. It also has a link in it, so you can do it on your phone. You can do it through just clicking the link. But every year they ask to send this out. Every school board member throughout the county has to do this. So it isn't done one time on behalf of the entire school district. It's all 9 of you should be completing this. It's really easy. It's a drop down. Put your name, you put the school district. There are 6 individuals up for election for a 3-year term, 2 individuals up for an election for a 2-year term, and then 1 individual up for a 1-year term. The ask is to have that completed by June 5th. So I'll make a reminder of that at the May meeting as well. But if you have a chance and you could do that, that'd be appreciated. That is just a public service announcement. On to 2 more meeting topics. Mr. Finelli is here this evening to add some context to this as well. But there is House Bill 41. This is a House bill that's getting a lot of traction. There is linked in your agenda item a House bill resolution. There is the actual House bill. There is Board D links you to letters of endorsement that are asked to be signed by the superintendent, principal of the high school, and also the athletic director. But essentially what this is all saying is that House Bill 41 is trying to create a separate state playoff system and championship for boundary schools, as they're calling them, which are traditional public schools, versus non-boundary schools, which would be your privates, your charters, and your parochial schools. Underneath the agenda item, there's coalition schools. So those are all the school districts throughout the state that have signed up for this. And then there also are District 3 coalition schools. Those would be ones within Berks County. Basically, every school district in Berks County is signed on to this, minus Reading, Schuylkill Valley, and then our school district. So we've looked through this, and Mr. Pinelli can add a little context to this, but in our evaluation of this, in understanding the challenges that we have had as a small school district, coming up against some of the parochial schools or private charter schools, it does create a little bit more of a challenge in terms of athletics sportsmanship, because they're able to recruit and build stronger teams when they have a like-sized school district. And it often puts us out of the running when you get into this championship playoff game. So, Mr. Pinelli, you want to add any context to it from your perspective?
Yeah, Mr. Potter, thank you. First off, my recommendation is that I strongly recommend you sign this. This is basically, on one of the slides, there's some stats there that support this. Basically, the current era, 2011 to 2026, state championships, right? In basketball, if you're looking at it, 68% of the schools are non-basketball. In your private schools, your charter schools, and we have 32% who are winning those. Again, we have 14 county schools already signed this, and you'll see in one of these documents the rest of the schools in the state, boundary schools who are supporting this. Yeah, I think it's a state law, so we can't decide they can't participate in regular season, but the angle that this group is taking, that state law doesn't say anything about postseason play, which is why they're specifically highlighting, again, postseason play, so championships is what, again, this law is passed, we would not compete against private schools or non-boundary schools for state championships.
This is something that came to us a couple months ago, early at the end of winter, and we kicked it around a little bit and started talking with some of Mr. Pinelli's colleagues, started talking to the individual that's putting this together. We've also been talking with, at my level, superintendent level, there's someone that sits on the PIAA as a representative for our county, and understanding the context behind it, understanding there's been a lot of emphasis to help support this. We thought it'd be good to bring it to the board for consideration for what your thoughts are as a school board, if you want to move forward this resolution or not.
Mr. Pinelli, can you help us understand, if you happen to know, Reading and Schuylkill Valley, have they not approached this yet?
Great.
Or have they decided not to support it?
Now, if you check the document there, any school
Yeah, I
yellow
can't
has
find
not
my
made a
document,
decision.
so-
That's fine.
Sorry.
So to answer your question, no, they're still undecided. There's no
Okay.
schools in Berks County who in the BCIA who highlighted red, which means they're not signing it. In the document, there's actually only one school who, I won't say the name, you check it. There's one school that did not sign it.
The red is not signed, is that what it is?
Yep. The yellow is still undecided.
Yellow's pending, green is work up.
And is there a deadline that they're pushing for schools to make a decision?
We had asked that, and we did not get a definitive date.
No, the gentleman who's been spearheading this, he continues to meet other lawmakers, but no, there's no definitive date.
But I think they are asking for it sooner rather than later, because it's going through the whole legislative review process as a law. And so that has to go through committees. And so the more traction and support they have, the sooner the better.
You can assume it's going to be attached to an omnibus bill once the budget is passed later this year. If it's going to pass at all.
Have our athletes lost out to, I know a couple in the head, but opportunities due to some of those schools?
I would look at any playoff systems, you will see the non,
Specifically.
not top of the head.
Well, I would say,
Well,
I would say almost every single one of our,
Yeah.
not every, but a good percentage without a statistic in front of me. Once they get into postseason, they most likely hit a what's classified as a non-boundary school, and then that's how they end up losing and get it bumped out.
Yeah, all of the, I mean, even girls soccer, they've gone on the last 2 years. Their road is always through a parochial or a
Charter.
school.
What's the buzz on the other side? What are those schools saying?
Hostile takeover.
Yeah, I don't know.
So all this wouldn't necessarily hurt anybody. We create 2 separate championship games.
It used to be
So-
that way.
Correct, and they have in other states, North Carolina, New Jersey,
Yeah.
Texas, you have your non-bound, junior boundary playoff system, even regular season.
Yeah.
So this is not uncommon, and I'm interested to see what it is.
Yeah.
It was 20
Yeah.
20 years ago. They switched to it.
So right now we have the board agenda item to approve the support of. Is everyone comfortable with moving forward with that language and approving that this evening? Okay. The final item under board before we get into committee reports is a discussion item. At the budget meeting, last meeting, there was a discussion about real estate assessment appeal process. And if I understand the conversation, it was, is there a possibility of when a house is sold that we could look to do a reassessment? And so by no means is this an exhaustive, bulletproof plan, but within a week, we were kind of able to evaluate this and understand what does this mean and how would that look. And so what you have in front of you is a district initiated real estate tax assessment memo process, if you will. So in doing some research on this and talking with Mr. Pratt and walking through the process with some other school districts that do this, as well as the Berks Assessment Office, there were 114 properties sold within the district in 2025. The last countywide reassessment occurred in 1994. So whatever that countywide assessment was, that's the assessed value that we're getting tax dollars on from 1994. Obviously, the idea is once a property is sold now, we would look and see, is that value worth of that land worth more than it was in 1994? And obviously that would increase the tax revenue. So the process would occur kind of somewhat along these lines. On a monthly basis, the business office does receive a real estate transfer report. When we get that real estate transfer report, we can then conduct an assessment of what is that sale price, what's the Berks County common level ratio. So you take that value of the sale, you multiply it by 33.47. That gives you the new value, the taxable value, and you compare that to what the current rate would be, assuming it's that 1994 rate. That's going to give you a differential. The board has to define what that tax differential or value differential of the property is going to be for it to be meaningful to go after. You can do that 2 ways. You can say, here's how much value of tax the value is going to be that we're going to go after. We'll just put a number to it, $2,000. Or you could say the value of the land or of the property is this much. And so those are the ones we're going to target. If the value of the property is $200,000, we're going to go over that, and then that's going to generate a tax increase, obviously. If we decide, yes, we're going to do that, then we don't have to do this, but part of the process, at least in the beginning, would probably to do a certified appraisal so that we have hard evidence to say, yep, the value that it was sold at was this, the appraised value is this. So we have some hard evidence to be able to take that back to the Berks County Assessment Office. We would then need to file an appeal. Before we can file that appeal, we need to bring it to the board to say, yes, we confirm we want to do this. We want to move forward with an appeal process. And that appeal process essentially takes place. There's not a start line, but essentially it ends by August 1. All appeals have to be in by August 1. So it's essentially like a June to August window. So we keep track of these monthly reports. We then board approve them and say, these are the ones we're going to go after based off of our criteria, our threshold of value of the land. And then we would put an appeal in for these set properties. Once we do that appeal process to the Berks County Assessment Office, they would then go into a hearing. So we would, in that appeal process form, we actually have to put in there dates and times when we would be available or unavailable. They'll set a court date, an automatic notification goes to the resident. We would get notified, and then there's a court date. There would be a court date for each one of these properties. That would most likely then pull in our partnership with Saxon and Stump to have some legal representation there to support the district. That's going to be some incurred costs. Once we go through that process, if we're successful or if we're unsuccessful, either way, there's an appeal process then. The resident can appeal it, or if we're not successful, we can come back and appeal it. And then that would be then the final avenue of that. So costs associated with this, there would be the certified appraisal cost. There would be the cost, the legal fees cost. So the appraisal is about $500 to $1,000. The fee to submit the form is $200. And then there'd be legal fees associated. Those legal fees, we don't know. So on average, the rates are $195 to $295 an hour. Once we get a little bit more comfortable, we can probably pull back on that. I know one of the school districts in Berks County also uses Saxon Stump, goes through this process. They have an attorney that actually works with them closely to walk through this process. That would be the process of what we could define and what we could uncover as what other school districts use, but also what would be required from the Berks County assessment office.
How do they do it when they assess you for
Improvements?
yeah, for permitting? Is that the same process?
I don't know that.
And they must be just using like desktop analysis appraisals,
Yes. Because you don't get a
which are
court date for an appeal. You don't get a court date. So essentially,
yeah, I just get a letter in the mail. saying
Correct,
you
but
owe
it's
me more
based
money.
off, you have to, when you submit that permit, you have to submit the cost of the work.
Whichever one lies.
Correct, but that's what that, I mean, but that's
Good,
the
your mic is off.
percentage, that's the percentage that's determined. So they don't do a reassessment. They're assessing based off what you say that price is.
Does it have anything to do with the inspection?
$40,000 bathroom, and you, Alexis, recorded as a $25,000 bathroom, and so then they raise your.
She's not admitted to anything.
Raise your value to what everybody else is. They raise your
I have a friend.
25 divided by 33%.
Yeah, it's 34.37% of what that.
I want to look at mine because we just had ours because of the permit that we had. But I don't remember. Well, yeah. I must have because I do it on other things. I just don't remember on that.
I think the big difference on this is when we submit the assessment appeal, we're actually submitting an appeal to the office. And so that creates then an automatic hearing. Whereas when you do an improvement, you're not appealing and saying, hey, I want to raise my taxes or raise my assessed value.
Is there a way to do it on properties that I know some are cash and don't go through an appraisal? Like some mortgages, you have to get an appraisal. Is there a way to use that appraisal?
We do not need to do an appraisal. In the form, it also talks about, if I remember, it talks about comparables. We can go that direction. I think just because it's new, it'd probably behoove us to go through that process, especially with not only, but 500 to 1,000. The net effect is we may not see an increase year one. You're doing an investment from a school district perspective to equalize tax payments, but if it's adjusted and that's successful, it's perpetual. So that value it raises.
We've done like a test run on like 5 properties or so. Like last year. I know Mike did that bunch, but
Yeah, that document.
to see what at least. Yeah.
So we went through and pulled all of the real estate transfer reports since August through the most recent one. to see what the sales price, and then Nikki went through and pulled the assessed value for each of these properties. And our current policy states that the implied fair market value difference has to be $200,000 or more. So we calculated the implied fair market value and then the difference. And if that difference, the potential new assessed value, if the difference was over the $200,000 threshold, because we took the 34.37 into account there. So then next column is the potential increase in assessment, what the current taxes are. So then the highlighted column is the potential increase in taxes for each of the properties that had a specific sale price included in them. Because other properties that come through on the transfer report are just through transfer to a child and wills and divorce and all those kinds of things. So.
So
The negatives aren't good things.
Yeah, how do you get a negative?
Because if you apply this to it, it's showing that the assessed value is
So
actually.
the assessed value is higher than the calculation would be for the new sale price.
Sale price. That's all.
So if you look at the second one from the bottom in October, sold for $324,000, it's assessed at $170,000. So that you would take your 34.37% of the 324, gets you to less than the one.
So we're doing okay on that. Well, and it's sold for less than the implied fair market value by $150,000, $160,000. So how does that work?
We would not want to go after that one. So these numbers on the right, we don't
Yeah, but
have
does
to,
that
we don't
mean-
do anything, we're not doing anything.
The house from a just general market perspective is discounted for some reason.
are these
Okay.
zeros all the mobile homes, or are they clean and greens?
The one that means that they're
Exempt.
no, they were not over the $200,000 threshold because we put a formula in that.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
And if I remember, Mr. Brown, from our conversation, green and green, we did not.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why I didn't know if there was.
So we go after those.
So that 200,000 threshold that you used was based on implied market value, or
Yes, that's because that's what our current policy states.
It's
So
a
that-
board policy or
Yes,
like
it's a board,
it's a
no,
board
it's a board
policy?
policy that we already have in
Required.
place. Mhm.
so that theoretically could adjust based. So for instance, that whatever that property is, it lists 247,000. That one could theoretically be assessed at $50,000, but because it doesn't hit the implied fair market value, it shows up at zero.
Yes.
So there could be a gain there, but it's just based on the current policy we have. It is a zero.
Mr. Pyrie, we do these policy updates every month for years and years now. Do we know when was the last time we looked at that policy and like board approved or reapproved it or?
September 12th, 2022.
Oh.
So it was a recent one we just put in place. It was one that Nicole had worked on shortly after she started there.
So if we're looking at the column all the way to the far right,
Yes.
I mean, this analysis appears to suggest that it'd be a whole lot of extra work for not a whole lot of extra money. Am I?
Under your current policy.
Under the current policy of 200,000.
The revised policy that we have supplied, that we've used for other school districts may change that because the threshold would be different. It's not based on the $200,000. It's based on what did we put in, a $2,000 difference, which would trigger to have the appeal in that regard. So that would change, obviously it would change what you'd go after, how you go after it. But you have to be very consistent that you go after every single one of them going forward.
What, around the county, what are the schools that are currently doing this?
Why I'm missing?
Why I'm missing,
they're primarily retail and commercial is.
Yeah, see,
That's
this
what I
is
spoke to
residential,
about.
this does not deal with commercial properties.
Right.
Yeah, so are any other school districts doing this for residential, targeting residential, like we would be?
I don't know, I'm
Works,
going,
I don't know for sure.
I don't know, I just know that Y Missing's been doing it, and that's who I spoke to. I will see some of them tomorrow morning at the COLA meeting, so I can get some information.
So this shows right now, but not the $2,000.
Correct, and we can run those numbers as well with this.
Yeah, I would say run that, because right now with this, I would say probably with the legal fees and the assessments, it's not worth it.
Right.
But with the new policy, it could be very worth it.
What does, the one caveat I'd add to that is that it compounds. So even if your 1 year reassessment is a wash, your tax structure is now based on the new number. And so subsequent years, you will have continue to have a
compounding
Taxes
effect.
will be
Mhm.
high.
yes. So the issue with other Berks County schools, I mean, there's some that would fall in that, but with us, there's been no new development. So
They get that revenue.
anytime there's a new development in a district, you're getting assessed at that new value. We don't have that luxury. Everything is based on 1993 numbers or 94 numbers.
Yeah, when was the last development built?
Another Forest Ridge.
The one right now, towards you on the left hand side, which is just a couple houses. Oh, no, the one before that. There's like 5, 6 houses. I just living in that road. It's it's just a fun word. Sorry.
So is there,
Total when you look at this, you take out all the negatives, you want to go after this, it's like $30,000. When you got just what it is right now.
For this?
Yeah.
30,000. And then,
Again, the Mike's point compounds.
yeah, deduct the legal fees. Yeah,
That's your one.
so, yeah.
so this would be triggered by the successful sale of a property in the district. So then it's the burden of the new owner of that property. Is there any sense of, how do I say, the impact on real estate values in our community, knowing that we might be the only district in the community who's targeting real estate, residential properties that way? In other words, it's a disincentive. If you're shopping in Berks County for a home and you've got a comparable home in Exeter and Forest Ridge, and you know that your taxes are currently the same if you buy either house, but you also know that at Brandywine, if you buy there, your taxes could go up by thousands of dollars a year. Do people perceive that as a disadvantage to purchase here?
Well, I don't know that you can compare apples to apples.
Good evening. Just a couple of quick things. So, to follow along the audit, situation, the last BCIU board meeting, we had a presentation from Irvine, which has been acquired by a company called Sherry Beckert, for the 2025 audit report. It was an unmodified opinion, which means the BCIU received a fully clean audit. There were no deficiencies in any internal controls. There was full compliance identified, and there were no significant audit adjustments needed. They do, because the IU receives so much federal and state and local grant dollars, they do significant audits of not just financial reporting, but those major federal programs, including the Head Start program, which focuses on youngsters below the age of 5, I believe. So revenues for the organization were up 2.4%. Mostly that was driven by federal grant money that passed through. Overall, the organization is funded 46% with federal revenue, 42% with state revenue, and only 12% locally. So that's the piece that, you know, we and our peers around the county from a school district perspective contribute. There was a highlight on revenue declining as a result of the loss of the Reading School District bus transportation piece, and a suggestion to look at right-sizing that fleet as a result of the loss of that contract. And I believe that's the key highlight. So obviously all good news, and no concerns from an audit perspective. The Annie Sullivan Award ceremony took place last week. Mrs. Dr. Kirscher attended, and I want to highlight congratulations to Brandywine's nominee, Lisa Weidemoyer. So thank her for her outstanding and continued service to the special ed population. And then the final item I wanted to highlight, Andrew, you already did, which is just to remind all of us board members to please quickly fill out that BCIU election document that Andrea had us sent around recently. And that concludes my report. The next meeting of the BCIU Board of Directors is this coming Thursday night, which I believe is the 16th.
Thank you. BCTC, Mr. Reitnauer.
BCTC, first I want to say congratulations to Tyler Wicke for an awesome job at HOSA. And I was curious if maybe if we want to step in and make sure that we can get the young man and his partner to Indianapolis. I don't know if we have any interest in that. Just a question off the top of the head.
I honestly need to go back to BCTC and just understand how, if they support or if they don't. And if not, then it may be a good opportunity to reach out to some of our community organizations to see if we can get some support that way.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. But
all right.
I was thinking about that as well when he was talking. Yeah.
Is it a monetary?
I don't know. So that's the part I don't know if that cost for travel is on the student or if it's covered by the club. I don't think it's covered by BCTC, but that's the part I got to figure out. Yeah. And if not, then my wheels are already turning about trying to reach out to a community organization.
Fantastic.
If I understood what Tyler had indicated, it's more of a oversight and monitoring. He's willing to drive. BCTC is concerned about having a student drive themselves halfway across the country. That's the impression I got. He chose not to fly.
Correct. It was his partner couldn't fly because they didn't have the
Yeah, so
proper
he's willing to drive. So I didn't get a sense that it was a cost issue. It was more, will BCTC let him drive himself there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know when my daughter went to HOSA in Nashville, she flew down but needed to do something else, and we did have to, I had to submit a letter, and then I drove down to Nashville to take her to where her next spot was, because even though at that point Samantha was graduated and she was out of school, they still view it as that's their responsibility because it is a school trip. Mm. So it's all still the same,
criteria,
security in place, yeah. Right? All the same things in place as if it was a student that was in 10th grade or 9th grade going on the trip.
Okay.
So.
Alrighty. BCTC met March 25th at the East Campus. March 25th was the end of the third marking period. April 1st through the 6th was spring break. April 8th through the 10th is Skill USA PA Leadership and Skills Conference. April 13th through the 16th was the NOCTI Performance Testing East and West Campus. Tuesday, May 26th at 6:30 p.m. at Santana Arena is the senior recognition. Heavy equipment operations students are taking their training to the next level thanks to a generous donation from Alan Myers. The program recently received a brand new Spectra pipe laser, state-of-the-art technology used daily by professionals installing underground utilities such as sanitary and storm sewers. Health occupation students hosted a St. Patrick's Day blood drive at the West Campus, which they collected 36 units of blood for Miller Keystone. The last day of school is June 4th. The next BCTC meeting is April 22nd at the West Campus. And I'm sure everyone's aware our next one is May 4th at the East Campus. And that's everything.
Excited for the meal.
Yes.
We had a meeting on Thursday, March 19th, where we reviewed and approved the December 31st audited financial statements, which also received an unmodified opinion. We reviewed the financial reports for December through February, and they gave us updates on collections and distributions and the ongoing delinquent enforcement efforts. There were some revisions to employee handbook and a couple changes to the bylaws for LST and EIT rates. And then our next meeting is the end of June.
As part.
Nothing to report.
The
No-
floor is still yours.
And nothing to report as well for negotiations.
Building Construction Committee, Mr. Bodiger.
Okay, a couple items under facility. We have the continuation of the high school wood shop expansion in the greenhouse project. The greenhouse is going up pretty quickly. If you have a chance to drive back there, you can see the final outside of the wood shop. The wood shop is fully functional now. It's being used. The classroom space has now been taken over in the addition. It is really, really a neat opportunity to see. And then likewise, the greenhouse is in its final stages of being put together. The students are not in it yet. They're still working on some final components to get our students into that, hopefully by the end of this month. We have an item on the board agenda coming up for gym floor maintenance. That's to resurface the gym floors, not a full strip down, just an update with the polyurethane. We've been talking about the exterior lights here out at the tennis court. It was a concern Mrs. Walliser had brought up. We did do the work at the 2 existing light poles. The nice part is we could retro 2 existing light poles and add lights to hit the street as well as the parking lot, and not have incur a huge cost because we didn't have to run new poles and all those sorts. They also identified a couple other poles that were not functional. So while the team was out here, Beaver Electric, they also fixed those for an additional $400, which helps our lighting situation, which is great. Track facility, this is on the agenda as well. Unfortunately, we had some issues over the winter with the pole vault pads. We thought we were doing a good thing by pulling them out of the winter weather, putting them inside in the storage shed. Unfortunately, the mice got to me in the storage shed. That is with an Ehrlich system in there to make sure that we have some protections in place. The cost is not great, but it's something we did have to do and make an emergency purchase and have that ready for track season. We are working through a couple scenarios. We're working through directly. Mr. Molatoris is working directly with Ehrlich right now to get their recommendation on how to do this better in the future. We're also talking with other school districts to see how they best store their pads. Some leave them outside in the weather, others so that kind of deters rodents from going to them. Others bring them inside. So we're working through a couple things here, but we want to get an official from Ehrlich what their recommendation is. So
Rifle team.
So- you were waiting for that one, weren't you? Good idea. We're exploring all options. The idea being we don't want this to happen again, so we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to remediate that in the future. Can't guarantee it, but we're going to try. DEP inspection. We had a inspection in December. Everything was looking good. Basically, clean things up when the spring comes around. We had a different inspector come out and wants us to go to great lengths to restore all the preventative measures to check off the DEP permit to then take all the preventative measures away. So we're struggling with that right now, back and forth with that individual. So we have a timeline of April 24th, also with all kinds of calculation loads that this new individual wants that have been provided along the way. So we're working through that right now. We had district boiler inspections. There were just 2 minor issues that were identified. No major safety concerns there. We had the Nevco tracking system representative out to install, make sure everything was working, work with our technology team, got everything up and running. Our first meet is this Thursday. So a lot of pressure to make sure this is working right. A lot of pressure on the athletic department, Mr. Pinelli, but we feel confident. We also are bringing in a third-party company to help us through the first couple of months just to make sure everything goes smoothly. And then finally, this is in the board agenda later on, was an emergency issue of removal of a tree at the neighboring property at the back where the cell tower is. The land goes up this way into the woods. It was dead and hanging over a house, and so we had to do some emergency work to get that remediated. That is the end of the construction committee report.
Any questions, comments?
Just real quick, the high school track timing system, you said, you're gonna bring in some outside help. Is
Yes.
that like a contract on tonight's agenda? Or is
Yeah.
that previously negotiated as part of the purchase, or how are we funding that is the question?
It's inefficient, we're trying to ask an official firm.
Oh, okay, so it's just an individual official, not like help with the timing system or software or?
They're gonna run the system for us. So this third party, L2 timing system, well known in Berks County, do a lot of track meets. They do a lot of county meets. He's going to just do our meet for us. Again, in the future, myself and staff would run the system. Works in. Again, secondary training.
Sounds good. And so that's just budget wise, that will fall under your official category. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none?
Andrew.
Yeah.
Hearing none. Andrew. Yeah. Quick question on the DP. Is that something Schlauch is assisting us with? Is that something Schlauch is assisting us with?
Sorry about that, Brian. My mic's right next to the phone. So yes, Schlau is working with us. Dean has been in contact with them. Really, they're going to be the ones that have to lead that completely because the remediation falls on them, as well as the new calculation loads that are required fall back on Schlau as well.
I guess, do we have any recourse with anyone? I guess my real question.
The short answer is that cost is us. The long answer is we need to make sure that we have a plan so it doesn't happen in the future.
Got it. Thank you.
We can ask the question. I'm going to guess that probably not, but we'll ask the question.
I mean, we've been early customers for umpteen years.
Mhm.
And if you tally up the revenue that we've paid for however many years of that contract,
Yeah, we'll look into it and bring that back for the next meeting.
Mr. Honchul,
Yeah.
Mrs. Hume,
yes.
Mr. Reitmauer,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser,
She's off.
she's off. Mrs. Herzog, oh no, sorry, Ms. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mr. Wagon,
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent, motion carries.
All right, meandering along here. Business and operations report. Can I get a motion in a second?
So move sheets.
Second right now.
Oh, the floor's yours, sorry.
Yes.
Took a slight nap there. I'm back.
I'll try to move through quickly.
All right.
So the first item is the general fund bills totaling $3.5 million. Next item, food service, capital, and then capital reserve bills. The financial reports, I believe we updated a few of them as we continue to work through all that CSIU has to offer us. So just let us know if we're still missing anything. Moving on to special ed and pupil services. First item is our ESS contract, that Dr. Kircher did a fabulous job with the, RFP process. I don't know if she's,
So I don't know if you're able to pull that up yet. You have handout of just the preliminary document for each of you to quickly take a look at. So we had a total of 13 vendors or contractors that provided us with, if you want a copy of that, proposals. And then out of those 13, we had a total of 6 actually come. And I should say submit proposals. So we had 13 come to our first bid meeting, and then out of those 13 vendors, 6 gave us some proposals. So you'll see on the front sheet there, the review committee met. We went through each of the agency proposals. You can see each of our areas that we evaluated the proposals based on. And then if you flip to the second page, each of the companies over the course of 3 years for the contract are shown there, and what their first estimated cost would be, second year, third year. ESS is the proposal that we are recommending to the board to approve for this evening, based on what they provided to us. We felt that that was the most efficient proposal, knowing that we've had them with us since 21. So they've been in the district. We have many of the staff that are with us currently, or with us for a duration of time. Their bill rate is roughly 70%, 69.8, so I'm rounding up to 70%. So we do have just the good bill rate with them right now. And looking at the third page, you can kind of see Mrs. Detweiler put together a nice spreadsheet comparing each of the companies, their different roles. So the bids were based off of 52 staff members, and you can see the different categories for each of those different areas. So we had our learning support classroom, paraprofessionals, our high demand classrooms, which are our autistic support, and our emotional support classrooms. We have a personal care assistant for 3 of our students. And then there's also the new higher rate that assistants. You can see them compared across each of the categories, what their hourly rates are, what their percent markups were across each of the companies. And overall, like I shared with the committee with the review, we felt in looking at what their backgrounds were from just their references, their financial stability, their quality control, what their overall proposals were. You can see it was very close between SOS, ESS, and then Nyman Associates. But when we looked at each of those different areas, Nyman Associates, for example, is relatively new. They don't have larger districts. And then when it came down to both ESS and SOS, and ESS was the one that was the proposed group that we're moving forward with.
things that they have shared from here as we move forward. Those would be additional incentives to assist with motivation and some of those other pieces with regards to the compensation.
So this will also help make seamless that we don't really have to keep
Correct.
employed.
And can you just remind us, when did we start with ESS?
2020.
So now this, okay.
Next item is a 2-year agreement with Concern for us to provide space for them to meet with students. And then there's a tuition agreement with Hogan Learning Academy for August or for the next year. Item 4 is for the ESY program. I don't know if there's any questions about that. Item 5 is to approve Victory Day, which is the Special Olympic event to be held at the high school this year. Item 6 is to approve an agreement with the Anderson School for a student placement. And then item 7 is to approve a linkage agreement with Pure Star LLC, which is counseling services provided to students in and out of district related to mental health. Moving on to curriculum and technology.
Can we ask a couple questions?
Oh, sure, sorry.
Just real quick, the 2-year agreement, number 2 with Concern.
Yes.
So we're paying to rent their space, or are they paying to rent our space?
We're just providing them with space in our buildings to meet with students here so that they don't have to meet with them outside of here.
For free, so there's no cost to this contract.
Correct.
So that's insurance based. So we have them, we have a lot of students similar to that Pure Star, which is the last one, and I think it was item 7, right? I have
Yes.
it in front of me.
Yep.
So based on insurance needs and medical needs for students, the agencies work with us. We have space here on site for Concern because they are the most local agency right in Fleetwood that work with our students for counseling services. So we're not charged because it goes to the students' insurance.
And yeah, and the benefit and the idea for students and families is if they can do it during the school day, they're more likely to get the supports and not have to do it after hours, and they're less likely. So it's kind of a round support partnering with a third party.
And no cost to us because it's covered by insurance, so we're just providing access.
Mm-hmm.
Space and access.
For the technology section, in our last board meeting agenda, I had prepared a memo about our device refresh process. After our last budget meeting, I've updated that memo. I believe we printed that out for you. The entire memo includes all of our devices that are being refreshed this year. They're in 4 different buckets: the K-2 student devices, which are iPads, 3-12 student devices, which are the Chromebooks, K-12 staff devices, which we've made the decision to switch over to Apple devices, and then district desktops. Those are actually not being refreshed because those current computers are still able to support Windows 11, continue to be updated. We do have backup devices that if something should happen to those, we are able to refresh and maintain those with our current stock. And in my budget, I do have some bucket for repair and maintenance if anything would need to be refreshed with those, but they're minimal at this point. It's just in our libraries, our food service, and our high school BBN studios. So we do monitor the quality and upkeep of those as well. In this memo, under each section, I've broken down the quantity of each solution that we're purchasing. Because while you look at solution for iPads on the item agenda, that is on today's board agenda, it says 530 iPads. We don't have that many students in K-2. So where are those? And looking for just the example for the iPads, we have 265 students estimated for next year, 40 special education iPads, 10 iPads in pre-K. 75 iPads on carts throughout the 3 building, and then 30 spares. So when things are out for repair and rotation, new students come in, we do have those extras in stock. And then the remaining 110 of those will go to staff members, which will allow for our staff to be able to write on an iPad and still project to their digital display. So that's where we end up with that total of 530 on the board agenda item today. As you scroll down, the grade 3 through 12 Chromebooks, we ordered 1,300 of those. That was on the last agenda item in April that we were in March that we were able to purchase. We have since received those, and our K-12 staff devices, that breakdown includes 215. We already purchased 5, so we only need to buy 210 of them, and then the 110 iPads for the ability to be able to write on the devices. There is a little background service here as well, but for repair services, we did purchase accidental damage protection for our Chromebooks. But as we saw through the research process, this was definitely something that needed to be purchased because of the high damage rate. As a result of that research, we have revised on one of our item agenda business F3 is a technology fee proposal adjustment as well. I've pulled that up as a quick review as well. The cost of the devices themselves has changed. The Chromebook, for a full replacement, we used to charge $250. That's now $350 because that device itself has gone up. The iPad, same thing. We used to charge $250 for that. The iPad has increased. We would now charge $300 for that for the full replacement. What we're looking at, the big shift with this is we used to just have a cost without insurance and a cost with insurance. And we never had a multiple damages column. Looking at our last year, we had 942 screens replaced out of 1,200 devices. There's kiddos in there that are damaging those screens multiple times in a school year. We work with the offices to try to contact, and obviously with discipline procedures, but if the family buys tech insurance, they're kind of like, well, it's covered if it's an accidental damage. If it's malicious and we can prove it's malicious, then we can charge for it. But if somebody's breaking their screen 6 times and saying, I dropped my backpack again, there's really nothing we can do for it. And then there's no sense of responsibility either. So we definitely don't want to penalize our parents and our families for this, but we do want to instill some sort of level of responsibility so that there's not that high rate of screen damages and keyboards, which was our biggest pieces. So we're proposing that the first one, if they buy the tech insurance, it would still be covered, and that first damage would be free. Accidents happen. That's why you buy the insurance. After that, the first one would be $25. A screen replacement in itself in total is $125 if you don't buy the insurance. So it's still a discounted cost. A third screen, if they get to that point, would be $50, still discounted versus the $125. And the fourth and beyond would be $75. Again, still discounted less than the $125 because you bought the insurance. But hoping that this new structure instills some sort of sense of responsibility, be a deterrent to just not care if we're tossing our backpack on the floor, because there will be some sort of charge applied to that account. And then same thing with keyboards. Those are our 2 common things that we see destroyed. The first one would be covered. Second and beyond from there would be $25. So those were the big changes. Same thing with the iPad. While we didn't have a big need for iPad repairs, we wanted to be consistent with the same structure for multiple screen breaks. So we included that structure for screen damages as well in that proposal for F3. But that would be our adjustment. I know there was a question at the last budget meeting. was a tech fee structure, something that we were looking into. And that is on the agenda this evening as well. Item 1 and 2 under F are the 2 lease agreements. The first one is in regards to the Apple purchase, which came in at a rate at 2.99%. As Ms. Detweiler said before, that rate is lower than the current interest that we are getting on our investments. So that definitely makes sense for us to take that lease agreement. And then item 2 is the actual agreement from the proposal that was shared and approved in March. The fourth item here under technology is to approve the purchase of Apple computers for our high school graphic arts lab and music lab at a total cost of $35,000. This item was actually included in my budget for next year. Looking at my funds currently, I did not do much device maintenance and repair. So that bucket of money that typically we set aside, knowing that we were refreshing devices, I would like to have you approve tonight the ability to purchase those devices now with my current year funds, so we can take that $35,000 out of our budget from next year, and that would be one of our reductions. That would allow us to have 16 computers in our graphic arts lab, 4 iMacs in our music lab, and then the MacBook Pro for our high school graphic arts lab teacher as well. So that is item 4.
That's that conversation we just had with the budget.
What kind of cases do we have on the, or will we have for the iPad?
So the iPads, currently we use a Brent Haven 360 case is what it is. It's a clear case on the back. It has a little pop-out stand for the kids. And then there's a hard gray rubber bumper on the outside of them. They've been very good over the last couple years. Good feedback on them. We've only fixed 20 iPads in the last 4 years, so they're definitely protecting them. I'm also going to be purchasing those this year with my end of the year funds. Typically in our last purchase, it was something that we financed, but I have money for cases set aside already for this year. So it'll be something that we'll be buying now.
Would you be kind enough to go back to the tech insurance restructure?
Yes.
So I appreciate your
maybe
feedback on this in terms of, go light on the first mistake, a little more aggressive on mistake 2, and then mistake 3, like it's your responsibility. So with that in mind, I'd be inclined to be a little harsher on the fees, given that our costs are dramatically higher than what we're asking in reimbursement. So part of me is like, well, we didn't ask families to buy these things. We're basically saying you have to use this device and you're responsible for it. But it just seems to me that if it costs $100 to fix something and we're only charging whatever, $35.
It is not charging for the full piece, which is the benefit of taking the insurance. And the upfront cost of the insurance for a family that pays full lunch price is $25. So they're paying for that initial upfront cost and then the additional damages for the screens. But it is lower than what we would pay for that individual repair by itself. But it's a benefit of having the insurance. Yeah.
Right. So
It'll be something new to families that I will communicate to them over the summer that your students are getting a new device. This is our new technology structure and here's why. But it'll definitely be new to families that maybe are used to their child breaking a screen 4 or 5 times and never had a fee outside of the initial $25.
What does it cost us with insurance?
So with insurance, so we buy accidental damage protection on the Chromebooks. We do not, outside of that upfront cost, which is a lot, we don't pay anything for that damage when we send it out. If this cost that we're charging the families is offsetting that accidental damage protection that we're paying for upfront.
So this is truly additional funds that we would not have. So
Yep.
to say that it costs us $125 dollars
Yeah.
with the insurance, that's not the case. It's
If we would,
blanket policy.
yeah, so there is sometimes that, for example, this is an interesting example. Sometimes the companies will come back and say, like, we are unable to repair this. This is the cost. It's not covered in your accidental damage. We've had some that are biohazards that they will not fix. And whether that is animals or whatever might be in their house, they will give us an itemized list of how much those fees would be to fix that device. And that's where we get that cost without insurance for the $125 for the screen repair and those things. Those are what it would be without that accidental damage protection. But we choose to pay for that up front, seeing that our rate of damage is so high.
Philosophically, how does this line up with if I lose my science book or damage my math book because I sat in the puppy pen and it got biohazarded?
So typically, if our textbooks are ruined, there is fees that go associated with those as well. Same thing with library items, lost books. There is fees that are assigned with those as well.
And is it a similar structure?
It's,
I know we don't insure books.
yeah, it's usually the cost of the book. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So cost of the book, $100 science book, you replace it. Cost of a laptop, you only have to replace a third of it.
Well, if the device itself is lost, we charge for the full price. Yeah, so that's the first line is a device replacement. We don't, accidental damage does not cover charger replacements or device replacements. So those we do charge the full price for. Previously, that cost was $250 for a Chromebook. Looking at our prices, if things have raised, that is now $350 in their proposal here.
And you feel confident that you have the manpower or procedure in place to kind of monitor and manage this?
Yes.
It's more complicated than it used to be, it sounds like.
Our technicians, we've had this procedure in place for the last 2 years, that they enter everything at Infinite Campus. So sometimes it's actually quicker and the parents get the fee right away, like their kid broke a screen, their kid maybe didn't tell them that they broke a screen and we're getting phone calls, what happened. But as soon as the tech is able to assess the damage, put in the charge, they can see, does the family have tech insurance or not? They'll put the charge in based on the free and reduced lunch status, and then it sends a notification to the family right away via email of what that charge is. When they log into the parent portal, there's a little description of what the charge is, when it occurred. It also keeps a nice tracking system for us too, so we can see if there was 4 or 5 screen breaks in a year and what that damage was. So that's been very successful and manageable for our techs to do.
Is it there, I know that we give hotspots to some families.
Yes.
Does it make sense to have iPads that would actually have cell data to avoid needing hotspots?
The hotspots are actually pretty cheap. The cell service that you would pay for an iPad would actually be more. And then you'd be buying that device in addition to the service as well.
Do we have to give the students a device?
It has been our district policy for our students to have a one-to-one environment with technology since 2018.
I'm just thinking like lunches, we have to give them lunch no matter what, would create a deficit. Do we have to give them a device after they break it? And do we wait till they pay for it, or can we build a deficit for this?
So our policy has been that if a student breaks the device, we send it out for repair. We have extras in our tech offices to make sure that they have a device right away. A lot of our curricular materials have gone digital, and our teachers are preparing digital lessons for them. So if we're not providing them that device, we're not able to provide them all of the curriculum materials for that day. There are some instances where students have lost the privilege to have a device if there's been repeated concerns, and then we typically work with that team or those teachers to make sure that they are able to provide textbooks, hard copies of things to students if they've proven that they cannot handle having a device. We have had those instances if it's a repeated concern, but for the most part, we are providing those replacement devices right away to students.
Okay, moving along. Facilities, first item is to approve the proposals from Chambers Flooring for summer maintenance at high school and this building for the gym floors. The next item is the invoice for the emergency tree removal services that Mr. Potiver spoke about. Item 3 is to ratify the request for change, number 12 for URIC. Number 5 is to improve the proposal for Modern Fold to inspect the overhead wrestling mats, the rigging system, as recommended by our insurance carrier.
I got a question.
Yes.
So it says Potiker Tree Service. Does he have a tree service?
His brother.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So in full transparency, that is my brother's business.
I
It
never
was,
knew that.
It was an emergency situation with Dean and I stayed out of it, to be honest. Mr. Montour slept connected with it. And since it wasn't a relation, we connected Mr. Wagner, make sure it was okay. Just that.
I just never knew.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep.
It's $3,800, I think, based on the facilities update in the committee.
Moving on to the approval of the 26-27 BCTC operating budget with our portion at $471,941, which is a decrease of $31,000. Item I is to approve an extension, an enhancement to the service agreement with St. Luke's to provide drug and alcohol screening services as well as TB testing for volunteers. And it's
If I could just take a look, there is a memo in your packet about this. This is a change of practice for us. It is TB testing that we do offer to all our volunteers. It is free to all our volunteers. The problem or the challenge that we have had in the past is when we open a vial, there's 10 doses in a vial. So we're either, what's that?
So it's a party time.
Yeah, it's a party. So we're waiting till we get 10 people and then trying to get all those people's schedules coordinated. Or we're doing it because this is an emergency to get people on a trip, or whatever it might be, and then we're wasting it. And so we reached out to St. Luke's. They're willing to do it. Our cost is $18.33 per test. Theirs is $23 per test. They will just bill us. They'll do it. We don't have to worry about any waste. So $18.33 is assuming no waste, which there is. So this seemed to make lots of, and it's not tying up our nurses. They're not giving the test, having to come back in 3 days, reading it. When this cost carrying the work, this is kind of a no-brainer.
When do you plan to implement this process change?
I would suggest we do that for the start of next school year. Because we have the vials in hand right now, so we go through those vials and not purchase anything new once they're expired.
Okay, and, item J is to ratify Ms. Udley as the tax collector for Rockland Township effective January 5th. And item K is to approve a one-year agreement with PSBA Insurance Trust for the Better Unemployment Compensation System program. This is a specialized unemployment program just for school districts, and it helps they handle the claims correctly for us. So
What is the cost of that one?
it is. Sorry, I do not have that right in front of me.
We need to get a laptop, so I can't click on business case, so I don't understand.
Well, that was another question that had nothing to do with this, but whatever happened to the laptop? I hope I don't sound rude, but I was just like, what happened there?
Sorry.
We're cutting budget. We've got a shortfall to make up.
Did I say go, Carly, go? She's going.
It's
On left
That's where she
tonight.
found the $35,000.
it's an annual charge of $4.50 per employee.
We promised we didn't break ours.
And then the last item is to approve the lease extension agreement with, for the cell tower. That includes the one-time bonus of $40,000 and the addition of the first right of refusal language.
Just so
And-
we're all on the same page, it's 4 5-year terms. Right now it extends it as the end date of 2039, it will now be 2059. And in the contract, there's a 3% increase, annual escalation clause.
Is that 40,000 in our budget for?
It is not.
So there's something.
And the right of first refusal, I know what that means, but
Yep.
who's getting
Mr. Pratt,
the opportunity?
Mr. Pratt reviewed that already, because before we even said we would agree to that, I wanted to make sure that was agreed. Mr. Pratt had a chance to
If you
review
would
that.
change,
and
they
make
have the
sure
right of first refusal,
If we ever sell.
allow them not to change.
So like if Brandywine would merge school districts or something in 2050.
No, if we want to sell it
If you want to sell the tower to somebody else.
Oh, okay, they have
So
first
like
right
it
of
was-
refusal to buy.
Right,
Can we sell it when we're under contract?
when it expires.
I guess if we decided to subdivide that little parcel of land and sell that off.
Oh, okay.
And that is everything.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you. Right on time. Any additional questions? Comments?
Yeah.
Mrs. Hume,
Yes.
Mr. Rightnour,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Spitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Walizer is absent, Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog. Yes. 8 yeas, 1 absent, motion carries.
Superintendent's report. Can I get a motion and a second?
So move Sheets.
Second right now.
Couple items under superintendent report this evening too. We have an agreement with Capella University. This is a new agreement. It is for the opportunity for a student to come in and work with one of our school psychologists in an intern type capacity. Item B is a partnership with the BCIU. We've partnered with the BCIU for several years now on the guest teacher program. This is the $900 for the 26-27 fee. We've been heavily involved in this. Currently, Dr. Kelly and Mr. Ginge go over and present on several times a year to support the guest teacher program, giving their perspectives as building administrators at the elementary and at the high school level. Those are the only items. Much faster than business.
Yeah, wow.
More about this, Kelly, like how
Yeah.
did we get this opportunity? It sounds like a one-off one student.
It is a one-off. I'm doing that.
So we're seeing more and more students who are going the virtual route for education classes, right? So before we would have a agreement with Kutztown, that would be where the majority of our folks would come from and a few from Albright. But being that you're having folks who are taking courses at a Capella, which is an online university, or Southern New Hampshire, they're local, but they're taking courses in this program, which, could be offered in another state. So what they're then doing, it's dependent upon that individual to find their own internships. So this is an individual who is in our area, who is looking for an internship, reached out to our high school or our pupil services team and said, would this be an opportunity? What then happens is they reach out to me, I get in contact with the university, and all of these universities have standard affiliation agreements, which when you look at them, they all mirror each other to an extent. So it's typically just then that opportunity for us to say, okay, we feel, our psychologist team feels that this intern would be a great fit for us. They feel like it would be a good fit for them. So then we work through, these channels to make sure we have that agreement and go from there. And, as we're looking too, as, student need increases, we talk a lot about, Dr. Kircher's world. These are ways that we can get additional hands in to support our students. So this is someone who will be able to help our psychologists. Our high school counseling team is working with Kutztown for an intern for next year as well. That's not a new agreement because we already have an agreement with Kutztown University. But that again is to provide more counseling services in the school district, typically without a cost. We have signed up for the PA Helps program, which is similar to that stipend program that student teachers can get. So a way that these interns can get some dollars in their pocket that are not coming from the school district, but that we're still in the early stages of that PA Helps program.
Appreciate the extra
Absolutely.
background. And is this placement, this particular one, sounds like not at the high school, which building is this one?
So our school psychologist team work district-wide. So this would be an opportunity for this individual to work within our K-12 program. So they'd be housed in this building. Yeah.
Both have offices in pupil services.
Mrs. Hune,
Yes.
Mr. Rightnow,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace is absent, Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog. Yes. Mr. Hohenschwald,
Aye.
Mr. Wagon,
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent, motion carries.
Yeah, I know it. You can just hang up on it. Personnel report. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved, but I would like to vote on all items with the exception of CB9. I'd like that one pulled. And just written out, CB8 pulled out as well. We could also pull out CB8 to be voted on separately as well, please.
Sure. Do you want each of those voted on separately or jointly?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna do second right.
All right, a couple items under personnel report. We have 2 resignations. The assistant to the athletic director has resigned. That is posted. Mr. Pinelli, what was our number right now? 52 applications. So we are, we had the resignation of Mrs. Kapicki. She is the part-time accountant. So great support with the transition and looking to take some time off to be with their family. Item B is no items. Item C is appointments. We have 2 individuals to help run the food service office. These are 2 individuals we recognize this evening. Mrs. Christine Miller, who's this building's kitchen supervisor, and then Susan Frederick, who also helps in the kitchen here in the intermediate and middle school. We have the appointments of summer workers. So we have 3 seasonal summer workers. These are the same 3 that helped us last year. We're looking to continue that process. This has been a great process. And just a background on this, we were paying a company to come in and do painting periodically. Our things weren't getting updated. When we looked at the cost of that, we decided to hire 3 individuals just to work over the summer as painters. We weren't sure I was going to go year 1. We ended up painting at this point, we painted every single room in all 3 buildings. So at a cost that we were just paying for a company to spot paint stuff. So this is a great addition and way to use our funds effectively. This will start to recycle now, and we're starting to get back to buildings that we started or rooms that we started with initially. We have the list of summer student help. Right now there are 10. These are students that helped us last year, and we went back and asked them if they'd be willing to continue. We are also looking to hire 5 new students. We haven't went fully through that interview process, so we don't have that full 15 to give you at one time, but we did want to lock in these students that already have expressed interest so they don't have to worry if they need to go try to find a summer job. That's why we wanted to do that ahead of time. 3A, and of course, the 2 individuals, item 8 and 9 will be voted on separately. Long-term substitutes, we have Kelly Womack, who's looking to backfill for Mrs. Snyder's position as a reading intervention specialist. That also is connected to F1A, who is Mrs. Farina will be her mentor. Item B is to ratify Miss Madison Sire. She is the 5th grade long-term support. She's in for Mr. Whalen, who's filling in for Dean of Students currently till the end of the year. Trevor DeLong will be her mentor, F1B. And then approve the appointment of Alexander Pavlovic, who is going to be filling in for the gifted and ELA teacher here in the middle school, and Kate Deffenbaugh will be the mentor teacher. She was the student teacher with Kirsten Paxton in the high school and did a phenomenal job. So it was a great opportunity to bring her on board. Thank you. That's it. It's one of those, just couldn't get it out. We have the coaches' recommendations. There's only one addition. That's Kara Schwenk. She is going to be the middle school softball coach. We have the event workers. There are 3 changes there. Mrs. Walazonsky, who is a former gym teacher, is looking to help with the middle school softball team. And then we have 2 other volunteers, just general volunteers that are listed on the list. We have the approval of Mr. Ryan Ware who is one of our high school mathematics teachers, to become the head and special ed teacher, to become the head basketball coach here, looking for the winter season. We wanted to approve him ahead of time so he could do some off-season work to get ready for that season. We have 4 leaves here for unpaid leaves for various reasons that are listed below. F1 or all the F items are the mentors I had talked about earlier. Any questions on the personnel report? We will do a vote. We'll vote for all items except the C, B8 and CB9.
All right. Could I get a roll call for everything but CB 8 and 9?
Mr. Reitner,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz, Mrs. Swalizer is absent, Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog,
Yes.
Mr. Honchul,
Yes.
Mrs. Hume,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent, motion carries.
All right, could I get a roll call on CB8?
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Swalizer is absent, Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog,
Yes.
Mr. Honchul,
Yes.
Mrs. Hume,
Yes.
Mr. Reitner, are you Mr. Wagner?
Yes. All right,
7 yeas, 1 abstain, 1 absent. Motion carries.
CB9. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mrs. Swalizer is absent. Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog,
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschul,
Yes.
Mrs. Hume,
Yes.
Mr. Reitner,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Abstain.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
7 yeas, 1 abstain, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Any additional comments, questions from the board? Public. I do have fantastic news, and that is we have an executive session after we're done here. So could I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
Second.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We will see you in Andrew's conference.